Hello everyone, in this video we will analyze a new topic which is the evolution of women's rights. And to do our analysis we have decided to use the film The Help. And if you don't know the story, don't you worry, we will briefly summarize it for you. The study transports us to a town in the 60s in the US where we meet Evelyn, who is an African American woman who works for a family as a maid and mainly taking care of Mrs. Elizabeth's daughter. Then we meet Skeeter, who is a girl who has just returned from the university, who gets a job answering letters in a household cleaning section, but her real dream is to be a writer. Later, we meet Minnie, who worked as a maid for Mrs. Healy and who is also the best friend of Abilene. At a meeting, Skeeter gets to meet her old friends again, and we clearly notice that Skeeter is different from them because at 20 years old, she's still single and without children, and her way of seeing the service employees is totally different because, unlike her friend, she treats them like human beings. Then we notice that Skeeter's relationship with her mother and family is complicated because, as I mentioned, she has not yet gotten married, and also for a reason that we don't understand yet, Constantine, the employee who practically raised Skeeter, was fired. It is here that she comes up with the idea of writing a book about the point of view that African American employees have, and fortunately, she gets them to take into account what she writes. On the other hand, Minnie is fired because, due to an intense storm, she is forced to use the inside bathroom, so Healy does not agree. It occurred to Skeeter to interview Abilene, who at first does not agree because she fears that by being with her, something might happen to her. But upon hearing now Minnie's husband hits her, she decides to take courage, so they meet in secret. Minnie looks for a new job with Mrs. Celia, who from the beginning shows a very gentle and kind attitude towards Minnie, and the reason why she wants to hire her is because she wants to learn how to be a good wife and cook for her husband. So she hires her without her husband knowing. Healy sets Skeeter up on a date with Stuart, and we also see that Minnie decides to tell her stories to Skeeter. The day of the date arrives, and we see that Stuart is an idiot. So Skeeter leaves, Minnie teaches Celia how to cook, and continues to be impressed by her kind attitude. The days pass, and Stuart goes to Skeeter's house to apologize and ask for a second date. Skeeter accepts and begins a relationship. Then we see the tension and sadness in which Abilene and all the people of color live because they are married off and threatened by the Ku Klux Klan. Then we find out that Celia had an abortion, and that is already the third one, but fortunately, Minnie is there to comfort her. Because Healy's new employee is arrested for stealing a ring, this is to pay her children's education. The other mates gather courage and decide to tell their stories as well. Celia goes to Healy's house because she wants her friendship and to be included in her group of friends, but because Healy doesn't like her, she pretends that they are not at home. Celia realizes this, so she returns home depressed, where she is comforted by Minnie, and this is reciprocated because Celia advises Minnie not to put up with her husband's abuse anymore.
Then we find out that Minnie got revenge on Haley for fighting her by giving her a pie with what was basically Minnie's feces. So this is a guarantee because they are convinced Haley will convince everyone that the stories don't happen in that place. At a charity party for the children of Africa, Celia tries again to make peace with Haley, but in the end it does not go well and she rejects her. Celia, depressed for not considering herself a worthy wife or capable of making friends, thinks about leaving Johnny, her husband, and returning to her hometown. But Minnie encourages her and tells her about her food and that if she lives there, Haley will have beaten them both. Skeeter confronts her mother and she tells her the reason why Constantine left. It turns out that at an event with many important guests, Constantine's daughter is going to visit her, so this often her guest, and due to the pressure she's under, she must fire her. Regretful, they try to locate her and bring her back, but unfortunately, she died before speaking to her. Finally, Skeeter anonymously publishes the book with all the stories of those she interviewed, and here Hilly's mother recommends that she read it because they included the pie story. Stuart ends up with Skeeter because he did not like what she wrote, and it clearly shows his true thoughts regarding women. Hilly goes to confront Skeeter, but her mother defends her because despite wanting her to marry a man, she feels proud of what she has done and for raising her voice. Johnny surprises Minnie at home, so she gets scared, fearing even for her life. But we find out that Johnny already knew this, as well as about the babies, and admits that Manny has done very well for Celia and has helped her overcome every obstacle since she was with her. So Celia and Johnny want her to stay, and to her surprise, Celia prepares a great meal with everything that Manny has taught her. Thanks to this, Minnie takes her children and abandons her husband who so much harm caused him. Finally, she's offered a job in New York, but planned to reject it, to which Minnie and Evelyn advise her to take it and follow her dream to finish. Hilly tries to incriminate Evelyn, but before leaving, she raises her voice. Then she says goodbye to the little girl because he had grown fond of her, and that's how the movie ends.
Okay, in conclusion, the story we see in The Help give us a strong way to look at how women's rights change over the time, and it especially shows us the experiences of both black and white women in the southern United States in the 1960s. And through the powerful stories of Evelyn, Minnie, and Skeeter, we learned that the fight for equality was made up of many personal fights and brave actions and new relationships between women of different races. Skeeter's journey is about waking up and changing. When she comes back home from university with new ideas, she starts to question the normal ways of thinking and the big differences in how black and white people are treated in her town. And her dream of becoming a writer becomes linked to her desire to give a voice to people who are usually not heard. And this brave act goes against the silence and agreement of her friends, and her own problems like her difficult relationship with her mother and the pressure to get married early reflect the wider limits placed on women at that time. Also, the act of writing and sharing these stories become a strong way to make society better, and it allows hidden experiences to be seen, which help people understand and feel for others, even if it causes personal problems like Skeeter's broken engagement. And the movie clearly shows that when you try to make things better, there is often resistance, and that it takes courage and a willingness to risk your social standing and personal life to kind of challenge what is normal. And in the end of the movie, The Help is not just a story from the past. It reminds us that the fight for equality is still happening and how important it is to listen to people whose voices are often not heard. And it makes us think about the subtle and obvious ways that prejudice works, the power of one person's bravery when facing unfairness, and how much understanding and support across different cultures can change things. And the beginnings of change, even though they happened in a difficult time in the America South, are still important in our current conversations about race, gender, and basic human right to be treated with respect and dignity.
They want the same things that men want. Only men don't have to hold a big protest to get them. And women shouldn't have to either.